Hi, this may be one of the most terrifying videos for me to do that I've done. Because I said I would do it. I said I would give you guys my version of electric guitar jazz. And I say it's really far outside of my wheelhouse, whatever that means. I'm not a jazz player, but I'm a musician, and jazz is part of music. And I don't want to say, well, I can't do jazz, I won't do jazz. But then again, I'm not a jazz player, so I may screw this all up. But I said I would do it, and not only that, I'm going to try because it's part of music, and I don't want to just bow out and say I can't do that. I just want to try, but I'm not. Keep in mind, I'm not a jazz player. So here we go. I never plan these things, but I definitely don't know exactly what I'm going to say in this case because it's jazz. I'm not even a jazz player. Okay, the jazz to me is several elements. First of all, is the sound. It's usually clean, but I'm going to alter that. For the leads, I'm going to use distortion, but for the chords, I'll play them clean because you can hear the notes better clean. But you can also, but on the solos, you have more sustain with distortion, and I think it sounds better. So maybe I'm not even playing jazz. Maybe I'm playing fusion. I don't know, but it's my electric guitar version of jazz. So take it or leave it. It's lucky I even wanted. It's lucky I even have the chords on clean because I used to just play the chords clean messy, but then you can't even hear them on distortion. So anyway, let's talk about jazz. Whew, okay, there's several elements. First, I said the sound is important. But there's also the scale choice, the chord choice, and the rhythm. Okay, see those three things, add along with the sound. But that sounds like any music is based on those things, but this is jazz, so it does too. The scale choice is first of all not pentatonic. This is not blues and rock. Jazz is diatonic scales. So let's get that straight. But there's two types of diatonic scales in European harmony. One is the major scale, and one is the harmonic minor or minor scale. I'm gonna stick with the major scale mostly for jazz because it's the main scale for jazz is major scale. That's like saying there can be minor jazz, but there could also be rainy days in the summer. It's just not very common. It's just usually not, jazz isn't usually minor music, so I'm gonna stick with major jazz. I think that's most of it anyway. If I'm wrong, well, then I'm imperfect and incomplete, but at least I'm mainly doing what's mainstream. So that's the scale choice. A lot of chromaticism in jazz, though. You can play a lot of the notes in between the notes. You can actually play 12 notes in a lot of the jazz stuff, but for now, let's just call it major. Then there's the chord choice, and that's interesting because in jazz is like a combination of blues and classical, because in classical you use major and minor scales, and that's what jazz uses. But in blues, you play seventh chords. You play dominant seventh chords on the 1, dominant seventh chord on the 4, dominant seventh chord on the 5. Well, you don't play all dominant seventh chords in jazz, but you play seventh chords as opposed to the triads that's mainly used in classical European harmony. The seventh chords are diatonic to the major scale, though. They're not different keys like the blues is. So basically, you have a major scale, then you've got 4-note chords, which are called seventh chords because they're spelled 1, 3, 5, 7, and that makes 4 notes. So they're called seventh chords, but they're actually 4 notes in a seventh chord. It's not 7 chords, it's seventh chords, and there's 4 notes in a seventh chord. So you basically have all the major scale, then you have all the seventh chords that are based on each scale of that degree of that scale. We'll talk about that. And then finally, interestingly, is the rhythm of jazz. And I think this is where I've got a handle on some of this that even jazz people may not have. I don't know. Maybe they all do, and I don't know anything. I don't know, but we'll just see. Basically, to me, rhythmically, jazz, I've heard it discussed that it's about swing, making the jazz rhythm. But rock and roll can be swing. I'm the One by Van Halen is swung. Satch Boogie by Joe Satriani is swinging like heck, but it's not jazz. Why? Because it's not so much the swing, even though jazz does swing. It's the time signature. Rock and roll is usually 4/4 time. Or something simple, sometimes 3/4, not usually, sometimes 2/4, but that's just half of 4/4, whatever. But in jazz, there are odd time signatures that are greater than 4. So that would mean not 3, and sometimes 5, but 5 is more like, can be more fusion-y maybe, and can be used in rock sometimes. So I'm going to go beyond 5 just a little bit. I'm going to say 7, 9, and 11. So basically, the rhythm of jazz sounds like jazz because the time signatures are 7/8 or 7/4 time, or 9/8 time, or 11/8, or 11/4 time, or like I said, 9/4 time, as opposed to 4/4 or 2/4 or whatever. And that more than four notes and odd timing in the rhythm gives it that jazz beat. Not that you're swinging the feel of it, because you can swing 4/4 and it's still not jazz, because it's still 4/4. In jazz, what makes it really sound jazzy is you're playing in 7/8 time most of the time, or 9/8 time most of the time. Rarely, sometimes 11/8, but usually when I hear it, it's 7 or 9, 7/8 or 9/8. So, or you could call 7/4 or 9/4. The number on the bottom is not that important. It's the number on top. 7s, 9s, sometimes 11s. 13 is very obtuse, and 5 is usually fusion and not as high enough number wise. So now what we have, major scale, 7th chord, which are 4-note chords, and try to play it in 7/8 or 9/8 time, and play the chords clean. But when I play the lead, let's make it distorted. Okay, let's make music with it. I said I would do this, and I'm doing my best. Believe me, I'm not trying to blow this. If I do, I'm sorry I did, but I'm trying not to. You have 12 major scales and 12 keys. Well, but in jazz, what's funny is a lot of times you switch keys a lot during the song. As opposed to rock, a lot of the time you just play in one key the whole song. Jazz gets its sound a lot of the time by modulating and changing keys, and that becomes the song. Actually changes keys a certain way, becomes that song. And a perfect example of that is Giant Steps by John Coltrane. I'm going to use that as one of my main songs here, but I'm not going to limit myself to that, because it's been done to the yin yang, and anybody can do it after so long. I'm just going to use it as one of them. I'm not going to stick to that, because anybody can do that if it's been done for a billion years. Anyway, the progression well, first of all, let's talk about a major scale. I'm going to take E major scale first. And I'm going to break it down into the 7th chords involved and tell you about the progressions of them and everything. E major scale is fine, you know. All right. The 1 chord is an E major 7th. 2 chord is an F sharp minor 7th. 3 chord is a G sharp minor 7th. 4 chord is an A major 7th. 5 chord is a B dominant 7th. 6 chord is a C sharp minor 7th. 7 chord is a D sharp minor 7/5, or sometimes called half diminished chord, and then finally back to the E 1 chord, E major 7th. So those are your chords you have a choice of. Let's just play them a little bit and see. Better versions, or maybe those are okay too. All right. Now there's a curious thing about how do you progress in those progressions, though. In every other music besides jazz, it seems to be based on 1, 4, and 5, and one's in the middle. But jazz doesn't seem to want to do that. They want to seem to go in a circle of fifths in one direction only. So what you do is you have a 1 chord as a root, and then you jump up to maybe the 3 chord, and then you go in descending fifths or ascending fourths back to the one that you started from. That's called back cycling or whatever. I said it better. See, that was an E. Oh, here I go. Okay. Let me do that better. 4, 5, 6. Okay. Okay, so I went from 3, which would be G sharp minor 7th, E minor 7th, F sharp minor 7th, B dominant 7th, and then to E major 7th. Okay, so that's cool. E, F, G sharp minor 7th. I said, no, C sharp minor 7th, not B, C sharp minor 7th. F sharp minor 7th, B dominant 7th, to E major 7th. I said the C sharp was a B, but it's actually a C sharp. I'm duh. So you have D sharp, G sharp, no, F, G sharp, C sharp, F sharp, B, E, and then that would be a typical progression. And then instead of going back the other direction, which would sound really not jazz, would sound like this. It would sound like, instead of deprogressing, you just jump to the one you started before and progress back the other way again. Let's change it to different keys. Let's do what John Coltrane does in Giant Steps. He goes down major thirds through cycles and then goes back where you start, because if you go down in major third, let's say you're in E, you go down in major third, you'd go down to C, then A flat, and then back down to E again. So you have three keys that are separated by a major third going downward, makes a little progression. Let's try some rhythm of that. I'm going to go first in the key of E major. That wasn't. Oh wait. Okay, I'm not going to go to. I'm going to go to 6. Okay, that would be this then. 6. Now for the C major. Now for the A flat major. And back to the E. So let's that's I did 6 2 5s, no 6 2 5 1s in each of those keys. So 6 in E, the 6th chord would be C sharp minor 7th, and then F sharp minor 7th is the 2, E dominant 7th is the 5, E major 7th is the 1. Then for this key of C, I have A minor 7th is the 6. D minor 7th is the 2, then G dominant 7th is the 5, and C major 7th is the 1, and then I'm going to go A, B, C, D sharp minor 7th is the 6 in A flat major, and then you have B flat minor 7th is the 2, E flat dominant 7th is the 5, and then finally A flat major 7th is the 1, and then you can get back to the key of E. C sharp minor 7th is the 6, F sharp minor 7th is the 2, E dominant 7th is the 5, and then E major 7th is the 1. Okay, we're getting there, but we have 2 more steps to do. First, we have to make it rhythmically right, because that was just bullshit rhythmically. I wasn't playing in any specific key signature. Definitely wasn't playing in 7 or 9, but maybe I was. But you need to do it more consistently than I was doing, and then adding a lead to it. So first of all, for the rhythm, for the lead, I'm just going to play a distorted melody in each of the major scales I'm in. So for the E part, I'll play a distorted melody in E major. Then for the C part, which is down a major third, because a C is a major third below E, I'm going to play distorted melody in C major scale. And then a major third below C is A flat major scale. I'm going to play a distorted melody in A flat major scale. And then a major third below E flat is back to the E, and I'm going to play another distorted melody in E major scale. So that's fine. Now the rhythm is the hard part. Do we pick 7 or 9? 11's not as common. Let's pick 7. So I'm going to try to play a rhythm, clean toned, using the key change from the key of E major, C major to A flat major to E. I'm going to try to play in 7/8 time, 7/4, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm going to try to add a lead to it. Let's see if I can even do this. You at home can pick this apart and see how good or bad I did. But let's make sure I got a good sound here. Make sure everything sounds good when I hit the distortion pedal. All right, here we go. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. I just did. Sorry about that, guys. I think I just broke my chord connection. I'm still playing though. It's bad chord. All right, so that was 7. You can do the same thing in 9 each time. At least I hope I can, or you can. Let's try that a little bit because I did say 9. I didn't just say 7. Let's try that in 9. These chords are kind of going bad on me here, but that's not you guys' fault. Not even mine really. But I need to change it. Let's try 9 8 time now. So we're gonna go to 9s. Okay, here we go. All right, that was 9/8 time, or 9/4, whatever you want to call it. And there's 11s, you know. So that, and then that was just the Coltrane thing. There's other progressions too. There's a Charlie Parker had a cycle that was minor thirds based. He went up in minor thirds until he completed the octaves. So it would be like E to G to B flat to C sharp to E to E. That's a different cycle. And then that would be his cycle, and then that would be a progression. Do I want to do that? How about let's try it in from E to G to B flat to C sharp to E. Let's see if I can even do that. So I'll start with a 2. So here I go. So that's the Parker cycle. I used 2 5/1s that time and changed in 4 keys, up minor thirds to go from key of E major to G major to B flat major to C sharp major to E major. But you can do there's actually 4 different Coltrane cycles, because this has 3 chords and there's 12 chords total. So there's 4 cycles that are unique of the Coltrane style. But since the Parker cycles use 4 chords, and there's only 12 notes available, there's only 3 different Parker cycles. It's kind of like the fact that there's 4 augmented triads in a chromatic scale, but there's 3 diminished 7th arpeggios in a chromatic scale, because the augmented chord divides the octave into thirds, and there's 4 of those, because 3 times 4 is 12. The diminished 7th divides the chromatic scale into a square, and there's 3 of those, because 4 times 3 is 12. So, you know, that's all you're doing. You're playing major scales on every note of an augmented triad going down in major thirds for the Coltrane cycle, and you're playing major scales on every note of a diminished 7th arpeggio going up in the minor thirds for the Parker cycle. So that's cool. Now I'm going to just do some jamming. I'm just going to make up my own kind of thing. That was the Coltrane cycle and the Parker cycle. But let me just shred and just jam and play some jazz, and then I'll stop the video. But let me just make up my own kind of thing. I'm just going to make some progressions up myself. I'm not going to use a book method that says this is Coltrane, this is Parker. I'm just going to kind of do my own thing. Let's see what I can do. Hope you guys like it. There I go. Too much equipment there? Okay. I don't like that. Try it again. Here we go. Okay, well, I made some stuff up there. You can just explore endless. There's 12 keys, 12 major scales, 12. There's 2 5-1s in the jazz. That's the one. It's, you know, the up a fifth and up a fifth, but then go back down. So you would be 2 5 1, and then you can do the 6 2 5 1, 6 2 5 1, even 3 6 2 5 1. Let's do that again. And so forth. And it's all in books. 2 5-1s. They like to go from 1 to 2 5 1, 1 to 6 2 5 1, 1 to 3 6 2 5 1, and so forth. I wonder what happens to the 4 chord, because it doesn't seem to get much attention, because it would be even past the 1, but I don't know. Anyway, love you guys. Have a good time. Hope you guys enjoyed the jazz video. Take it easy. Rock and roll. Bye bye.